Hello everyone, Justin from iMicroboard Repairs, and we have an S21 Plus that was brought in for data recovery. It was brought in just in a bag like this. All other part of the phone was destroyed. So it got ran over by a car. There's what's left of it. The whole power portion of the board that connects to the board, that brings power even into the phone, is right here. Right there is the battery connector. So obviously this is never going to work. So we have to transplant, if the organs are good, hopefully they are, everything from this board to our donor board that we have prepared. This involves, on this model, we have to grab the EEPROM, which is on the inside of the sandwich. So yeah, this is going to be a lengthy repair and recovery. We have to cut this top half off, open the sandwich, grab the EEPROM, transplant it, then transplant over our UFS and our CPU. So let's see if this can be a success. But first, let's see if the chips are okay or not. I'm not going to get trolled like our last video where I didn't see that hairline fracture in the chip. And yeah, let's see what we can do. Throw that away, we're not going to need that. All right, let's clean it up. All right, let's go ahead and Dremel this off. go ahead and get these capacitors out of the way. This doesn't matter, we don't need this board. That's another thing I'm going to work on coming up, is try to figure out some sort of a filter or polarization to get rid of the blinding microscope light, because I have to see, but you guys also want to see. So I have to find a balance. I've just been overwhelmed. At least now we have a better microphone, right? Whoops. Yeah, we really got to do something about that lighting. This one has a lot of oxidization. Let's see. So we're going to reball the UFS and then check the health of it before we do anything else. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can screen share so you can see it instead of seeing it from all the way over there on that camera. I'm still learning all this stuff, so bear with me. I'm going to pause it real quick. All right, let's see if I do this right. See if we got too much glue on the chip. Oh, I got the wrong adapter in there. Silly me. 1 second. All right, we have a green light. All right. We should be good as far as the storage. All right. That's always good. Doesn't mean we're home free, but that is good. Get some thermal paste. Man, that light. Sheesh. Just got to put 2 balls. That's not bad. Way better than putting 20 or 30 of them. Alright, that looks good. Let's flux it and do our rim. So I think what I'm going to do first is we're going to put the chips on my donor board, and then after we do that, then we are going to, we're not going to be able to get in the phone, and the phone will take longer to turn on than usual, but I want to see if the CPU is good and if it'll turn on. And then if we get it to turn on, then we're going to go ahead and split the sandwich open, which is not fun, and grab our EEPROM, swap it over, and finish the job. And we know if it doesn't turn on after that, something happened to the board and we get to start all over again. Yay! Let's hope that doesn't happen. I say that because I have already been there. I have been there before, and I'm not trying to go there. Sorry, you can't see. Curious how long this video is going to be. I don't really care, but how long it takes, just curious. We're going to need to take a resistor from this board because I borrowed one on my last recovery. And it is right here. So let's do that. Make sure we even have our donor here. Yep, we do. All right. Got to remember all the small things. This is all about small things. Little details. Go this way. Which way do I want to go? I'm going to go this way. Alright. Change our heat back so we don't forget and blast it with too much heat. Man, that light. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Phone call. Pause it. 1 sec. Answer the phone. Alright, sorry about that. Let's consult our picture here for our orientation for our RAM. Got a little hair there. We do not want that. We cleaned our flux off to read the chip, so we're going to put some flux. Alright, that was a little bit that was way too much flux, but whatever. You can never have enough flux. Alright, let's see if we get a booting device. Hey! Yeah! Alright, it's not over yet though. It's definitely not over yet. This is going to take some time to boot. Get a drink of water. We'll have to speed this part up in editing because there's no way anybody wants to wait for this. You know what? We're going to do this. Oh, there it goes. All right. Make sure you can't see anything. It's private. You can still see it on the microscope. Do, 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 do. Come on, little phone, you can do it. I know you have the wrong EEPROM and you know it. No, I don't feel like sitting here holding that hand there, so there you go. Trust me, it's gonna take a while. I'm gonna go wash my hands and take a break, and I'll just edit this out, whatever I need to edit out for the time that we're waiting here. There you go. I'll put this right over the T-Mobile logo. Great, and my lavalier mic's about to die. I'm gonna turn it off. All right, phone is on. Very nice, very nice. Let me just show you that it's on. Now it's not going to accept the password because it doesn't have the correct EEPROM. And oh, there goes an alarm. But we are, personally for me, it's late and I kind of want to go home right now. Yeah, I don't want to finish this right now. So I'm going to be back tomorrow. I will finish recording this tomorrow. I'll come in on my day off and we will open the sandwich, swap the EEPROM, close the sandwich, reball it, close the sandwich, and hopefully, or the interposer layers, hopefully we have a success. If not, like I said, we have to do it all over again. So, all right, we will see everybody tomorrow. Okay, so I forgot to turn on my microphone for the recording of this portion of the video for the S21 Plus. That was ran over by a car. So I'm just going to do a voiceover for it. Basically just saying, hello, it's Justin, we're back the next day. And we are going to split the sandwich grab the EEPROM, open the donor, transplant the EEPROM, close the sandwich up, put the layers back together, and hopefully get this guy's data. As if not, we get to redo it again. Then let's see what we can do. So we're just going to clamp the board inside the board holder so we can split that top layer off. Make sure it's nice and secure. And we're not going to have any mercy. We're going to use pretty high heat so we can hurry up and open it up, because we don't care about that motherboard. We've already, as you know, in the previous portion of the video, we already harvested and transplanted the CPU and the UFS storage, and we had the phone power on. So now we're just going to heat the board with no mercy and split the sandwich open. I'm going to do my best to never forget to turn my microphone on again. It's just that it's a new setup, so yep, I forgot. I'm going to make myself a checklist before I start recording a video. No more winging it. I don't make scripts. I don't plan anything. I just do it. Whatever comes out of my head as I'm working. And I don't talk much in my videos just because I'm trying to concentrate on on the work that I'm doing. Because one wrong move and it could be game over. So I'll try to talk more as I get better at making videos. Okay, so we're almost at the point where it's becoming liquid. We're going to go along one section of the board and start prying up. And go to the other edge, and it should just pop right up. There we go. Now I'm showing you where the EEPROM is. We're going to go ahead and grab the EEPROM. We're going to remove it from the customer's board. I'm also working on my lighting. I need to figure that out. But as we do more videos, we'll get better and better and better at doing videos. I'm just adjusting my microscope, trying to get the light to not be so bright and reflective. Didn't really work out too well, made it a little bit better. Alright, so we're done with the customer's board opening it. Now we're going to grab the board that we transplanted the CPU and the storage to yesterday, where you saw it turn on. But as I explained, we're not going to be able to get inside the phone because all the biometrics are held inside the EEPROM. So S20 through S21 series, this is just something you have to do in order to, whenever you're doing a board transplant, in order to have the password actually take and actually get inside the phone and recover the person's data. I learned this maybe 11 months ago or almost a year ago. when I did a S22 Ultra swap. It was severely water damaged and tried on by another repair facility. I don't know who it was. I don't really care who it was, but I swapped it and it didn't want to take the password. And I asked a lot of people in the rework community if they've ever seen this before. And I'm not going to name names, but a lot of them straight up lied to me and said no, they've never heard of that. Every time they do a transplant, they just put the password in, it works just fine. But I know for a fact that that was a lie because I had to transplant the chip. After Googling, I found that there is a chip that is needed, which is that chip, the EEPROM. And then once I transplanted the chip, the phone booted right up as normal, and I was able to put the password in, no problem, and unlock the phone and get the customer the data. When you don't have the native EEPROM, the phone takes forever to turn on, and yeah, it's not going to take the password. It'll say incorrect. Even if you know that that's your password, it's going to say incorrect because that information is stored within that chip. And if it's not on the board, it's just not going to work. So now we just open up the donor S21 Plus motherboard. Now I'm going to remove the previous customer's EEPROM from the previous recovery because I've used this board before. Again, sorry about the lighting and sorry for not looking. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm correcting it. Sorry for not looking and seeing how blurry it was. It's much better. Put in a little marker so I don't have to think about which way the chip goes. And now we're going to remove the EEPROM. There we go. You do not want to lose that. You lose that, you just ruined any chance of anyone recovering any data. Only 6 solder pads, but they're very important. I chose to just leave the pre-existing solder on there and just add some 148 to it. Now we're going to reball the chip. I'll tell you what, I'm never going to forget to turn my microphone on again. Sorry again. All right, chips reballed. Put it in a safe place so you don't lose it. And my mistake, previously we were taking the chip from the customer's board, and now we're going to remove the chip from my donor board and swap it out for the customers. We're going to go ahead and remove the solder that's left from the chip because because we already have our other chip reballed. Sometimes you can just lift it if it's a clean lift, and you can use 50% of what was left on the board and 50% of what was left on the chip when you lift it. But since we reballed the chip, we're just going to remove all the solder down to the pads, just with 6 little pillows left. Alright, now we're going to proceed to solder on the EEPROM to the donor board. I turn the air like down to almost nothing. It's like 15% airflow. That way the chip doesn't fly away. Because it only has 6 pads and the chip is wide, when you use more airflow, any chip like that is gonna wanna go to one side, and what ends up happening is it bridges and you can't see it, and then it won't work. And if it's a crucial chip and you only get one of them, it's not like a power management IC where you can replace it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, it doesn't matter. You only get one of those chips, so you don't wanna short that chip or bridge it and have any reason to have any more variables thrown into the mix. So I'm just going to heat it one more time, watch it drop down and shift into place. Just like that. Little dance and chips on. This is where I'm switching out my soldering iron because I had the micro pencil on there, and I'm grabbing the bigger iron, the FM 2032. Or not 2032, is it 2032? No, 2027, my bad. The 2032 is the micro pencil. So I'm switching to the 2027 Hakko wand that goes in the Hakko 951, the FX 951. And what I'm about to do is wick up all the solder on the perimeter of the board, and then as I'm about to do it, I'm just looking at the solder and I'm like, huh, it's kind of even. I don't think I need to remove this solder. I think I'm just gonna flow it to where it's even pads again with what's left on each side. And I'm saying that I'm pretty sure we can get away with just closing this back up as is. So I decided to do that. And I'm stating if it doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and, of course, open it back up, remove the old solder, and go ahead and reball it. But I decided to just look for any debris and remove all the old flux, clean it up, air compress it, and send it. So we're going to go ahead and toothbrush the old flux off. Make it nice and clean. Always want to work nice and clean. Scrub, 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 scrub. Do the same to the other half. So and I'm just checking it out, saying, yeah, it looks fine. So we're just gonna flow this area right here, get the pads to be more uniform, not sticking up with little burrs from when it was pulled away from the board when we separated it. Do the same thing to the other half. And let it roll. Now I see a couple pads from this view, from the top right of the board where they start. And so we're going to check pad 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going down from the top right, in the middle, top right. So I'm pulling up the board view software so we can see what if we need those pads or not, or if they're all just ground. Using Zinzi Xiao, very good. I like this software a lot. My good friend Atinder from EFX Computer showed me this software. I like it a lot. So I'm just looking at it and I'm counting it back to the microscope. I'm looking in the microscope comparing the pads and I'm like, okay, so we do need those 3. We might not have needed them for signal, but rather than go check everything and spend a bunch of time, it's better to just check it. But in the end, I look at the pad and I think there's enough solder on there. So we decided to just close the sandwich without reballing the board. We'll switch back to the microscope view in 1 second here. Sorry about that, just bear with me here. Or you can fast forward. By any means, feel free to fast forward any point you want. You're in control. Just take that mouse and fast forward. All right, so I have the board placed in the jig. I have it lifted up slightly so that when I'm heating it, the CPU and the other chips underneath, the UFS and all the other stuff underneath, isn't nestled down against the jig, because if it goes liquid and if there's any pressure, it could undo or bridge or ruin the work that we already did on the opposite side of what we did the previous day. So right now I'm just heating the board up. That way when I apply flux to the perimeter over the solder balls and the solder pads, the flux will actually flow onto the array. So if you do it cold, then you end up with not even amount. That sound you heard in the background was on my mic, was a phone that I just recovered the data from, that decided to, it was connected to the network on Wi-Fi and it decided to do an update. But it doesn't matter because we already got the data out of it. Just for a good laugh, let's see if it survives the update. Alright, so we applied flux all around the edges of the board, because you need flux in order to bond solder together the proper way, called flowing the tin together. I always like to put it on one half. Sometimes people will put it on both parts of what they're working with, but that's the way I like to do it. So now we get to play the fun game of aligning the layer while being held in the jig precariously. So I don't have it very tight. So it wants to move a little bit. If this part's boring, you can go ahead and fast forward it. Doesn't take too long, but it takes a minute or two. This part's always fun. And what I was doing there by looking at the side was seeing if I have any, how big of the gap is between the layers of the boards, because if it's too big, then it won't drop down and it won't attach. So I'm just checking to see how uniform it was as far as the perimeter. So that's all any view you can get. Can't remember, but I think this is where I move it and I mess it up. Let's see. There you go again, checking the side, seeing how much of a gap we have or lack thereof, or how big it is or isn't. This is where I decide, all right, I think I'm okay to just set it down. I think the Wi-Fi chip will lift it up enough to where there's no pressure on the CPU, the RAM, and the UFS. So we don't want to have to redo that again. We can, but why if you don't have to? I don't like what you call make work. I like work, but I don't like make work. I know it seems like I'm taking a long time doing this, but you literally, there's no point even doing it unless you do it to the best of your ability and try to make it as perfect as you can. As best as you can. There is no such thing as perfect. Sure, everyone's like, oh my God, are you done yet? What's the old saying go? Measure twice, measure 4 times, cut once. I never did good in construction. Not very good at math. More of a hands-on kind of guy. Just don't ask me to do math. So now we're just welding the two halves back together. I'm just keeping an eye on the side to see the gap close. And you probably can't see it in the on-hands camera in the bottom right, but the board will actually, the rest of the way, because there's no way I aligned it perfectly, what it'll do is it'll jump into place just like a chip that you're soldering on, except it's a layer of a board that has a bunch of solder balls on it instead of a BGA chip that's way smaller. I liken it to doing like an APU or a CPU or a GPU reball, which I've done tons of on the game consoles. It's just there's a big void in the middle of the board that has no solder pads on it. That's all. Just trying to heat it as evenly as possible, because if you heat one section too much, then the board will start curling up or distorting, and then it won't grab and won't attach in that area. And whatever lines those are for, that function's not going to work, and that's not good. So I'm just waiting for it to cool, and I'm checking for the password because I'm really bad about that. I'm like all ready to attack and get on the job and finish it and get it out of the way and get her done. And sometimes I don't look for the password, and then I'm sitting there with a phone that's hanging on for dear life that I don't have the password to. And it's very frustrating. So thankfully this customer did provide the password, and even though I didn't check for it, it was there. Is sometimes these phones, with all the stuff that happens to them, you could do everything perfect, everything's fine, the phone turns on, it seems like it's fine, it's not hot or anything, it's not rebooting or boot looping or anything, and then in the middle of the recovery, boom, it just dies, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've had it a lot where the storage dies. I'll take the chip even back off the board after the phone died, and I'll check it in the chip reader, and the chip is actually dead. And it's sad, but there's nothing you can do about that. So that's why I always try to make sure I have the password before trying to at least power the device on. Now we're just checking the perimeter to see if it's nice and uniform. There is a couple parts where it seems to be barely connected or not connected. But those outer rectangular pads are ground, and we have plenty of ground. So in this case, I decide, rather than heating the phone back up, to go ahead and put it in the housing and attempt to power it on and see what happens. And then I state that if it doesn't work, that of course we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of weight on it and flow it one more time. So we're just going to try it out, see how it goes. Oh, looks like our phone that was doing the update finished the update. Alright, now we're going to power the phone on. Well, assuming it works. Don't worry, it does. There you go. So now we're just going to wait for it to boot. Boots a lot faster than the first time in the previous video because we do have the native EEPROM now. Still took a minute to turn on though. I got a little bit worried. Now we're just sitting here waiting for it to boot. Doot, 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 doot. I think it's kind of ironic that on my day off when no one's coming in and out the door, it's so silly that I didn't think to check my microphones to make sure that they were, my microphone and its receiver, just make sure it was on. Oh well. Right there I'm just saying, okay, maybe it's going to stay on the Samsung logo. Alright, it's booting. Just going to put that in front of it so that when it does boot, we don't see anybody's personal information. Try to be professional. Now we wait. Don't worry, it's not that long. It's just more waiting. Trust me, this will be the last time I forget to turn on my microphone. Nothing worse than watching your own video and having to figure out what to say. Alright, I think it's going to boot any time here. I know it's boring just sitting here watching this screen, but I like to leave it to where nothing's left out. That way nobody can be like, "You didn't do that. You switched the board. Or you changed the board, or you did something. You sleight of handed it." So we don't play around here. Alright, phone is on. Just a little laggy. So now I'm going to flip it over and connect all the other connectors. First I'm seeing if the password works. Alright, so we're in the phone. Sorry for the lovely view of blurred out tweezers and Kingbo Flux. Should have left you with something else nicer to look at. It is what it is. I'm sorry, but I don't remember what I'm saying right there. Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna go to the dial page. I always type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 asterisk 0 pound. That way, it's a good way of showing the phone works and without showing anybody's personal information or anything personal inside the phone. So now I'm just battening down all the cables in case I need to connect it to a network, and also so the cables don't fall off while I'm doing something with the phone. Go ahead and put the back plate on with one screw. Just showing again the world famous 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 asterisk 0 pound. Let's go. Another successful recovery. So now we're going to connect it to the computer. And we're going to load up Smart Switch. Turns out that I ended up having to, it didn't have enough room inside the phone to make a Smart Switch backup, so I had to offload some files into a folder, which I'll give to the customer separately, along with the Smart Switch backup on a USB drive. So I believe you're going to see me here pause it because the Smart Switch doesn't want to work. It was already updated to the latest version, but I had to uninstall it in the phone and go to the Play Store and download Smart Switch again. This is me plugging it back in, prompting it to detect it. So this is where it keeps saying update it on the phone, update Smart Switch on the phone. All right, after 40 minutes, I just realized that, because I went to mute my mic when I was leaving, and I didn't have my microphone on, so I'm going to have to do a voiceover on the video, but just to show you that we're done and it was a success. Plug her in. We are going to back up. Yep, we'll keep everything and back it up. All right. Well, that was a funny folly. Forgot to turn my mic on. So you'll be hearing a voiceover, like I said, of the other beginning part of the video. Here is our old board. Here's the piece that came from it. the battery half of the battery connector part of the board. There's where we took all our stuff from. Fun, fun, fun. There's where our EEPROM was. And here's the old board. All right. Glad to say that that was a success. Thank you for watching. If you need this service, please visit my website. Link is in the description of my channel. And yeah, another successful recovery. All right. Thanks for watching.